Hey guys, a rather interesting news that came out today on the bidding results for Woodlands and Lentor. So anyway, let's see. Whatever I share today just based on my point of view and research. So make sure you do your own due diligence before you proceed. Anyway, let's go ahead. Dive quickly into the numbers. Let's see. This interesting thing over here is that the two main plots in these recent results for GLS land tender. One is at Woodlands Champions Way. I remember when I first saw this, I was like, wow, this is a superbly nice name, but it's in a location where most people would think, wow, cannot make it, or Woodlands, that kind of thing. Of course, we have people who love Woodlands, we have people who love Admiralty, we have people who love basically anywhere in Singapore. We can even have people who even love Tuas. So you never know. I think it's not fair for us to gauge, this location is not good here and there. But I would say comparatively, there will be people who think that why would I want to stay at Champions Way when I can stay at Lentor Central, right? So let's see. The interesting thing over here is that there are 6 bidders for Champions Way and 2 bidders only for Lentor Central. I think if we compare the location, most people would easily prefer this, right? So for those they are a little bit not very in touch with the market, not really very in touch with whatever has been going on, then you probably would have thought something must be very wrong. How come there are so many bidders for this Woodlands piece of land, whereas this one supposedly in a much more central location comparatively is not getting as much attention? And I really don't think it is that the land bid they feel is too big of a project, they cannot afford, because after all these guys are big players. CDL, Hong Leong, basically they are in a way related Then Qingjian, GBE, MCL, all these guys are rather major players in the market. And then over here, Hong Leong again. Then the other one was Fraser's. There's this quite a big sum of money difference of 100 plus thousands, 100 plus million, but it's not something that the companies can afford. So it is more of factors such as risk tolerance and risk management that led to them flooding towards Champions Way versus Lentor Central. And if we look at the figures, I would say 100 PSF is quite a difference, but not a difference to such that even within the same development, 100 PSF is not gonna totally break a deal. There are people who are willing to pay, like example, 2,000 PSF versus 1,900 PSF, or 1,900 PSF versus 2,100 PSF in the same development. Then now, the interesting thing is that we are facing a situation of Woodlands being bought at this price, and then Lentor being bought at this price. So what are the factors behind it? I think this article sums up pretty well, not all, but it sums up pretty well the reasons why. So let's see. I shall not bore you with all basically the details, but like I mentioned just now, there are 6 bidders for Champions Way, Woodlands, nearer to Woodlands South MRT actually. Then some of the reasons will be lower risk appetite, them preferring something that is lesser than 500 units, because they will find it much easier to sell and clear within the 5-year ABSD time frame. So it seems that they are more into mid-sized project nowadays. Small projects are not as attractive because they can be very difficult to sell, because there is a kind of lack of star factor attractiveness. So most developers will want to go for something that is a little bit more in medium size. Then sites in the suburbs where demand is less affected by cooling measures. So certain things like cooling measures, it's just not just talking about TDSR, reduced LTV or interest rate or that kind of things. It can be things like what exactly has been happening to Lentor. For those of you who have been following my videos, you realize that I have been rather very concerned about what is happening around Lentor, and there are way too many sites, and I see it more like a cooling measure because you look at the hype around Lentor Modern. If this keeps on going on and government don't do anything, then Lentor would have easily hit 2008, 2009 in a matter of just a few years. But they knew they had to do something, so which I really commend, and they did a very good job by releasing all the land. Unfortunately, we talked about, or rather there are a lot of people always talking, GLS is going to pull out the prices, blah blah blah, but it's not always the case. Just refer back to the video they have done almost about more than 1 year ago on Lentor Modern. That is true for quite a lot of examples, but it's not particularly true when it comes to Lentor Modern, or rather the Lentor area. And we'll see reasons like basically extensive supply, really extensive supply in a very, very short period of time, and that is severely hurting the gains of those who bought into Lentor earlier. Anyway, let's see. So those places with differentiating factors such as proximity to transport nodes, good schools, come on, these are like very simple things, so I don't bother highlighting. A limited competing supply, I think this is the one that kind of hits the nail, Why? Because if I'm the developer, I definitely have to be worried about the competition thing. And if I know Guaco and Hongdong are gonna keep bombarding the whole Lentor area, why would I want to go in and risk getting facing such a strong competition and stronghold over there? And most of that probably that's why they don't bother to even go and fight. And even if they do fight, they probably will be quite a reputable or usually a joint venture, so that they reduce their risk or rather better risk management. So the growing risks that they face basically are high interest costs. Okay, and then reduction in sellable area, which we talked about previously. On the definitions of gross floor area, basically the harmonization thing which kind of happened last year, but I think if I'm not wrong, Lentor Gardens was the first one post GLS site that was after that mentioned cooling measure. Okay, maybe I was wrong to call it cooling measure, but in a way, if you think about it, to a certain extent, it was a cooling measure. Because developers are now scratching their head, left scratching their head. So now if I cannot factor in excessive or big balcony, the aircon ledge, so what am I going to do with it? And that's why when developers are not as certain, they will be a little bit more cautious. They will try to bid lower, and that's why we are seeing this kind of things happening on the market right now. Because if this harmonization thing they come in, I would dare say probably quite a lot of the PSF PPR land prices is going to be a lot higher now, but because everyone is trying to figure out their way out, probably unless one of the developers is already figured out, but so far we haven't managed to see it yet, then this land bid for the next few months to maybe even 1 year is going to be a lot more cautious, because everyone is like, hey, let's wait and see, or let's wait and see what's the maybe the Lentor Garden guys, how are they going to launch so that we maintain our profit margin. After all, nobody want to be doing charity, right? So the interesting fact over here is that because they bought the land at 900 PSF PPR, so likely they're going to be launching at around, I would say probably almost 1,008 to 1,009. And you imagine 1,008, 1,009 for Woodlands, and you're almost getting the same price at Lentor. You'll be thinking, hey, then like that I might as well go and get Lentor. But if you really dive in carefully, like what I mentioned before, I would say actually the risk at Woodlands may actually be lower than Lentor. And it is not surprising today, because example, you are looking at things, developments at like Woodley Residences, they are hitting 2.3 PSF today, which is not we can be a very attractive gains, provided those people who got in at very, very low PSF. For those that are not so favorable, facing surprise was new, if you get what I'm saying. Whereas those people, you want nice views, you pay the freaking premium, and today they realize they are being caught with their guard down, even though I try to warn quite a few of them, but they happily go around, take their teacup, and the teacup is the gifting lah, and then flaunt it around like it's something. Well, now we see who gets the last laugh lah. Anyway, people are paying 2,223 for Woodley residences, but there are people paying even lesser PSF for maybe even Marina One, and we know which one is the better location, huh? So why is it like this? So does it mean that Woodlands must always be selling cheaper by a lot than Lentor Modern? I mean not Lentor Modern, pardon me, by Lentor compared to the Lentor plots? I don't think so, because sometimes it's not just about the location. If somebody tells you in this era that location is everything, please come on, find a new consultant. It's definitely not going to be like this. We do not want to go ahead and listen to all this nonsense thing that has no base. There's a lot of baseless assumptions lah. And then we move on. Over here we can see that it is quite a big gap from the second bidder. 13.4% is quite significant, but it seems that CDLs are very, very, very seasoned developers. It's not like they just any monkeys come in throw high price. So they probably knew what they're doing, and then they feel that it's worth. And I'm pretty certain they will be able to sell it, clear it, despite the supposedly high price. Some of them mentioned that it's a little bit too optimistic when it comes to the price, because they mentioned CDL's bullish read. But well, they are not stupid. They know what they're doing. So let's see what they are gonna be doing to manage all this lah. So there seems to be quite a wide range of expectations, because all these developers are trying to putting all sorts of bids. Some of them obviously are low ballers. They are not there seriously, like the one. What was that? Was it Marina View? The one by all the companies lah. I shall not mention lah. But it's a little bit ridiculous lah. They are just throwing in for fun. So in a way, it's like we're trying the system of the GLS system in Singapore. Anyway, it seemed to them is like Woodlands is the most underdeveloped regional center lah. For those not very familiar, maybe you can go ahead to your website and learn a little bit more about the regional center. But compared to the few of them, it seems that Woodlands is more underdeveloped in this sense, and that's why supposedly have the best potential for growth. And this is the first one in more than 10 years that land was being launched. Previously, it was Park Rosewood back then, and then I don't think it has performed very well. But let's see what has not performed very well may or may not be the same thing next time, because it really depends on a lot of other factors. One of the factors could be that there is a rising trend of HDB prices in Woodlands over the past few years. Whether it's going to continue, I think probably, but it's not likely going to be as fast as the past 2 years. But let's see again. Why developers are doing all this? The one by CD, I think they mentioned, the CEO mentioned they're just trying to restock their supply, because their inventory has been moving rather healthily. Those stock like example Mies, all these are still moving well. In fact, moved quite a lot last week, if I remember correctly. So they just want to ensure they have a stable launch pipeline. And developers, if they don't have land bank, they don't have something to launch, then they're basically out of business lah. And this is not something that a seasoned developer will want to. This is not a problem they want to face when if they want to stay back in the market. Then the other one on Lentor Central, 900 plus PSF is even lower than the previous GLS. We are so used to seeing trends in the past 2-3 years that this land plot comes out, this is the first one, then the second one, then the third one, then the prices tend to be up as it goes later. But in the Lentor situation, we are seeing something that is almost totally opposite. And as I expected and mentioned more than 1 year ago, all these are actually happening. And those people who didn't hit the warning, unfortunately, we are seeing this happening, and it is it's not that I'm trying to be sadist, but it does feel good to have my prediction coming true, and it's, in a way, it's a little bit of sense of accomplishment. It's just that unfortunately, people who choose to still go in with knowing the risk, they are facing the music right now lah. But well, it's a good thing to know what are the facts and figures behind it, and what are the likely impacts, and then see all these educated guesses. And nobody knows for the future. Okay? Nobody knows for sure what's going to happen in the future, but it seems like the educated guesses that I did were coming to fruition. So the two bits shows that there are increasingly tentative and defensive sentiment, which is really true. I feel so. If I'm a developer, I wouldn't even want to go and bid in this area unless I get lucky, I lowball, and then really get my really get a piece of land for super cheap. Then maybe they will get a very good deal lah. But it is very obvious that there are too many being developed all together at the same time, and this is a major concern in the area. 3,500 new units, that's almost more than 10,000 residents suddenly out of nowhere, within a span of over here 3 to 6 years. When it's all done already, assuming all of them are sold, it will be sold. It will definitely be sold. I'm very certain that the next one will still be sold, and then probably at the same price, or maybe even lower, or probably just around that, plus minus around that range. So it is expected to be launched in this price, and I would say it will be quite unfortunate, because this is the price that is even cheaper than that Lentor model that was launched last year. And imagine if this one being launched next year. So the difference of 2 years, and you're still being the one that was supposed to save you is still being launched even cheaper than you. That unfortunately, I really don't think something that is going to be newer and cheaper is going to help your price. In fact, it's just going to do the total opposite, and then start putting down the price for those people who are the first mover thing. That's why I don't believe in a first mover advantage thing, because it doesn't always apply to to every situation. You have to really know what you're doing. Don't just learn, I learned this new first mover advantage thing, and then I must apply. And then that's why I know Singaporeans love to be first at everything, but not everything is good when it comes to being first. Example, first to die. Well, unfortunately, but it's nice sometimes to have guinea pigs who willingly jump into the fire to sacrifice. But thanks to them, we are seeing like things like this, things actually happening lah. And it just gives us a very good lesson that we'll learn without having to pay for the lesson, unfortunately. But okay, so let's see. Lentor Hills, the second one, was launched at average of 2,000 plus PSA. If I remember correctly, I think the launch day for Lentor model was like 2001, around there, or 2050. So it's not really a difference, and this was only a second project. We are looking forward to the next project. I think it should be Hillock Green. It will be very, very, very interesting, because they are the game changer. They will pretty much determine how Guaco Land will want to price their future projects after Lentor Hills. So we'll see. This is something that is really, really interesting to look out for. And as long as they've been trying to control this area, but if this one guy launches very low and manage to get quite a bit of market share, then it's going to be quite a headache for the big guy at play and Lentor over here. So we see within the past 1 year, unfortunately, the prices hasn't been moving much. It has been going sideways, and I think it's quite sad, because I have clients who already committed less than 1 year ago. They are already seeing at least 200-300 PSF gains, or maybe even more. But these guys are like probably getting from bad to worse, because the new guy that was supposed to be selling more expensive than you over here, probably they're supposed to sell around this range to pull out this guy. But unfortunately, instead of selling here to pull out this guy, is selling below, and the next few ones are going to be likely below, or maybe around this range, which is obviously not going to help. And in fact, it's going to just sabotage, because most people will want to say, hey, why not I go and buy something that's brand new, much newer, at a lower price. I mean, that would exactly be what I'm doing, right? If I'm going to buy a car that's 2 years younger and at the same price, or maybe even lower, why? I think it is a total no-brainer. So this is not a chart that we want to see. We want to see when we invest in something, we want to see something that is going up, solid, and even if doesn't, what are the chances of it going up? And these are things that we will try to eliminate, so that when you put your money, you put your money with a peace of mind. Even if it goes sideways supposedly, but there is little factors for you to worry about. But in this case, it seems that there are a lot of factors involved that are more of a cause of concern rather than a cause for joy lah. Okay, just a quick summary again. These are the few land plots. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I think there are a few others that are not officially announced or launched yet. They could be more, but even these are a little bit too overkill and scary lah. Upcoming one will be this one, launch probably 1 or 2 months later, but this will be the game changer and something to look out for, and this will really determine how Guaco going to position the rest of their projects. Like I said, unfortunately, given a choice, I mean, I wouldn't want to enter in such a firefight, but well, we have quite a lot of people inside, so let's see how the actual performance is gonna be. Okay, in something that I feel is very I don't know, I'm very curious about how things go up, but at the same time, I don't want to be the one fighting the fire. So unfortunately, and thankfully we have in a way sacrificial lambs for us to see how the forces of the market, the economy, how is it gonna be. So will be good learning points for us in the future. Okay, that will be all we have for today, and then see you guys. Take care, and then till next time. Bye bye.